Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Rethinking Strategies for Higher Education Marketing. My name is Ricky Bijlani. I'm the Senior Director of Marketing here at AUDIENCEX. I just want to thank you all for taking a bit of your time out of your day today to join us. I'm going to give this a couple of minutes to let people finish joining us. And while I do, I'll go over a couple quick notes before we get started. First, we will indeed be sending a recording of this webinar to all registrants afterwards, so everyone can look out for that soon. Additionally, we will be taking some time to answer any questions that you may have at the end of today's presentation. So if you do have any, you can go ahead and submit them at any time via the Zoom's Q&A feature right at the bottom of the Zoom interface. So today we'll take a closer look at challenges that higher education advertisers are currently facing, explore the landscape they must navigate, and discuss how marketers can find and meaningfully connect with these audiences. Here to guide us through a bit of that today, I'm pleased to introduce our presenter from AUDIENCEX, Danielle Gale, who is our VP of Partnership Solutions. Danielle, thank you very much for being here today and hosting this discussion. I know it's going to be great. So with that, I'm delighted to go ahead and hand the show off to you. If you can briefly introduce yourself, including your role and background.
Right. Hi, Ricky. Thank you for having me today. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I think we have a big pack agenda today, so we have a ton of slides and kind of content to share. Hopefully, we'll get through it all. Ricky, one thing to call out, just please monitor the chat because I can't see it through my screen share, but let me know if any questions come up. But yes, I'm Danny. I've been with AUDIENCEX for about 2 years now. I lead our partnership solutions team, really working with clients and agencies direct on building their kind of go-to-market omni-channel strategy to drive performance and kind of anything brand awareness for their services and offering. There's a lot of new faces joining us today, so I just wanted to take a quick pause and kind of introduce who is AUDIENCEX, why are you joining us, why you should be caring about what we have to say. So really, we are the pioneers in programmatic performance media. We have a ton of experience in higher education marketing throughout the entire full funnel marketing funnel. So ever since we started our company 12 years ago, we have grown to kind of 11 offices across the nation. We have worked with over 36 university clients, and specifically in the last 3 years, we have launched over 250 higher education campaigns. We tend to drive a typical average return on ad spend about 5 to 1 for our clients. So we're probably one of the leading trading desks, really offering clients access, unparalleled access to anything digital media buying across CTV, social and search, display, OTT, things like digital out of home, etc. Our experience in this space is quite in-depth. We worked with all sorts of schools, pairing from specialty trade schools to School of Management, for schools looking to increase their master pursuers. Also, we've worked with public for-profit universities, state schools, and then private for-profit sector. So we're really excited to have you all join us today to really unpack this fun agenda. So I want to take a moment and kind of start out today with really unpacking what's happening within the industry in this space and how we use this to really think of the media landscape and what clients need to be thinking about for their university and college. We also want to share some really effective creative, not only from our own kind of high rich media impact units, but also what we found online from some great schools. And then the last part of this presentation, we definitely want to share a case study or two if we have time for it. So really, let's dive in, starting with market insights. So here at AUDIENCEX, we cover a breadth of industries, but probably where we have the most experience is with higher education. And right now, kind of the landscape has dramatically changed in the last decade, and really higher education is facing a reckoning. So the big thing we are seeing is a decline in the overall addressable audience, which is a huge concern. A lot of big terms are talking about the demographic downturn, because really America's total number of students have declined by 2.6 million or 13% over the last decade. I'm sure you guys all realize this, but another 15% is projected starting the beginning of 2025, just 3 years away, as a result of people having less children in that 2008 recession. We are also seeing a ton of political pressure, really undermining the value of higher education as a whole. And in fact, over the last decade, the American public has increasingly lost confidence in the economic benefits of attaining a college degree. Some of the biggest advocates, though, for getting a higher education is Democrats. So they pulled 60% in favor of really attaining a college degree is the best investment for a student's future in order to succeed and get ahead. Alternatively, we found that Republicans only pulled 41% in favor of getting a college degree as the best investment for success. While it's a bit kind of treaded waters, whether we want to talk about politics in our kind of marketing campaigns, but in the next couple of years to come, it's something that marketers in higher education are definitely going to have to use as a tactic in terms of their media strategy. We are also seeing a ton of new entrants coming in the higher education space in the form of for-profit, virtual and corporate universities, as well as museums and publishers. They have now entered this space. And in fact, we found that over 2,000 new corporate universities have launched in the last decade. Some, such as American Express, have joined forces with universities to offer new courses and degree programs. Of course, we couldn't talk about competitors without mentioning the big elephant in the room, which is University of Phoenix, one of the largest online programs. But really, companies like DeVry University are really having success by taking advantage of underserved populations. This is something we're going to dive a bit more in depth in this presentation. But did you know that majority of DeVry's kind of enrollments, 50,000 plus new enrollments, were from first generation college students and adult learners? So really, they've had a ton of success pairing and working with the business community to offer curriculum paired up to the trends in the job market. And then finally, we're seeing a huge drop-off of parental support. So Gallup, a recent independent marketing research firm in 2021, found that 46% of parents said they prefer not to send their children to a four-year school, even if there were no obstacles in terms of financial or otherwise. So really, some of the big advocates of students of going to college is their parents, and we're starting to lose support. Altogether, these four kind of big trends are creating a snowball effect that create a very highly competitive market in terms of reaching new students. So Google search trends came out recently and said, if you're an institution advertising on Google search, you're competing against an average of 3 other institutions every time your ad shows on paid search. Now, if you aren't advertising on paid search, even if you're the #1 placeholder in terms of an organic strategy, you are likely to be pushed down to 4 different listings below as competitors come into this space and really advertise against competitor conquesting. So now more than ever, we really need to look at marketing as a way to kind of solve and kind of address some of these key challenges. You guys are all the subject matter experts in this space. So I'm going to quickly go through these insights, but really the value of education and really what draws students in the first place, we found that over 58% of students cited the number one reason for obtaining college enrollment is actually to achieve career outcomes. But yet an astounding 41% of students are unemployed after graduation. And so really, we are asking kind of colleges and universities not only to look at the most popular majors offered, but also how does this align to the top 10 industries hiring new college graduates? So even if you have no room to kind of change or innovate your curriculum, definitely showing ad creative with the different courses you offer that align to the top 10 kind of industries hiring in this space for new students is a great tactic and something you could implement today. Of course, like I mentioned, really the sentiment around college in general across the US has declined. Again, according to Gallup, 51% of adults now only deem college to be very important. This is down from 70% in 2013. But where are we seeing the biggest decline is actually from young adults and prospective students themselves. So 41% of young adults actually had a positive rating of going to college. So this is less than half of the prospective students actually viewing college as valuable. And when looking at parents as a whole, there is some good news. We actually found that 67% of Black families do wish their high school graduates would attend a four-year college. However, for white and Hispanic families, the parental support for a four-year college was only at 51% and 56% respectively. So really looking at sentiment as a whole, definitely we want to use marketing to kind of combat this negative kind of picture. And again, the negative around, college being a good return on investment for actual future career outcomes. But really the key here is to actually diversify our creative and really become more inclusive in our imagery and definitely targeting, families of color and definitely diverse backgrounds is a great winning strategy. Also, as we touched upon new entrants, there is been a huge impact from COVID that we are seeing immediately, but we will see more so in the years to come. So online education is one of the fastest growing areas in kind of education technology. It's really being looked at as an affordable solution to offer a learn from anywhere approach. So this was really interesting. We found in 2018, at least 34% of students took at least one online class. Now in 2020, thanks to the pandemic, at least 98% of college students took at least one online class. Of course, this data is quite skewed because campuses had to shut down because of the height of the pandemic. However, what was really interesting with the shutdown in colleges offering kind of online courses, it expanded their reach in terms of geo by 93%. So they saw a 93% increase in distance of education enrollments between this period of the pandemic. So really, if you're kind of a smaller teal kind of localized college or university, definitely think of online education as a way to offer enrollment across the nation, but also to accompanying international countries. Now, I want to pause here. So really what we want to share today is that colleges need to invest in marketing to remain relevant. And really higher education brands need to reinvent themselves as omni-channel performance marketers to acquire new students. Because of the mass shift and changes happening in the market, which are going to be here to stay in the next 2 years, we are helping our clients adapt an omni-channel marketing solution to really help them with things like higher enrollment and loyalty, a smoother enrollment process. So we are finding that our own clients who's taking this omni full channel approach, they are finding that students who actually first discover them as a potential university or college all the way to the point where they sign up and pay their first tuition bill, that time process is shortened by at least 12 to 17% through the use of marketing. We also, as a whole, see just an increase in overall applications. So not only for undergraduate programs, but for adults continuing education and transfer students. And then with these students coming in through a full funnel marketing approach, we are finding them to be a more integrated prospect. So they are becoming student ambassadors. They are leading their own programs and kind of student affiliations within campus. And then, of course, all of these together through an omni-channel marketing approach are powering really robust and changing audience insights that we are helping clients develop for 10 years down the road as students and interests will shift even further. So really, we are setting the blueprint today to really help marketers with this ever-evolving kind of changing landscape they're in. Now, I want to shift gears, definitely thinking these market insights kind of in back of mind. We definitely want to next kind of provide some insights on some audience and media and really helping you guys understand kind of the landscape as a whole. So whenever we work with clients in EDU, the first thing come to mind for anything sorts of marketing is, of course, audience. Who do we want to speak to? Who do we want to go after? For us here at AUDIENCEX, there's two main prospects to definitely increase enrollment for undergraduate students. Of course, that's undergrad prospects themselves. So students already in high school, 16 to 18 years old, that are looking to graduate in the next 6 months. But also there's a huge opportunity for universities to go after the parents of prospects, because definitely we need to nourish this negative sentiment and help them become advocates again for these undergrad prospects. Now, some interesting things about these two groups, we kind of estimated the online population of undergrad students around 10 million. Of course, there are 20 million new students, but students actually online on programmatic settings is closer to 10 million, and same with parents, they're closer to 18 million. But interestingly, students, we actually found that 33% of them are basketball fans. About 60% of them at least plays one video game per week, and then 56% of them use about 1 or 2 music subscription services. In terms of looking at the parents, we actually see a slight female skew towards the mother being the main advocate and helping with that decision-making process. We also find usually the bulk of the age range right now of adults having children 18 to 20 is around 45 to 54, and they also have an income around 50 to 99K on average. So really, when we're setting up campaigns, we definitely want to think about setting up the targeting with these parameters in mind. But the reason why I bring kind of these obvious insights to you is that these audiences couldn't be further apart on the spectrum. A lot of times, and the number one mistake we get, not only from clients, but also people kind of advertising for colleges and university, is that they plan these audiences together, meaning the creative might be different, but the actual channel and targeting is relatively the same. We have this awesome tool called GWI, which is Global Web Index. We were able to create these audiences in our platform and pull some questions against these audiences. So one of the questions I wanted to ask is, which of the following are you interested in against these two groups? As you could see for student and prospects, really the highest interest in terms of over-indexing was influencers, virtual reality, coding and programming, painting, drawing, gaming, comics, esports, and astrology. This is very different from what we found in the parents' prospects, as really they're mostly interested in home improvement, of course, topics around parenting and childcare, but also gardening, religion, and smart homes. Where we see the bulk of these audiences, definitely for students, is gaming. They are gamers, they're on their phones, they're playing casual games at least once or twice a week, and it's a great way to kind of reach students. Also, looking at the Gen Z audience now today versus even 10 years ago, we really need to start referring to them as tech native as opposed to tech savvy. So really, they were born in the era when the App Store launched in 2010. These are now the students coming into universities. So you need to think of planning and kind of channel strategies as such. However, parents and prospects, definitely we find the bulk of the audience really looking at home improvement, making sure their house is nice. So we have some tactics to reach out to them specifically. I also wanted to use our tool to kind of ask the question now, how do these audiences typically hear about new products, new services, new universities? And again, we couldn't find more opposite ends of the spectrum. So for students, they over-index compared to the total population of actually seeing ads from a brand for the first time, ads that play before videos. They also see ads around celebrity endorsements, social media, blogs, search engines, and websites. But really the bulk of the audience in terms of highest percentage is definitely social media and music streaming. Now, looking at parents, which is very different, they over-index for kind of finding about new universities or new career degree advancement on product comparison sites, retail websites. This is a very e-commerce driven population. But where the bulk of the audience is TV commercials. I didn't have enough rows in my chart to put TV commercials for student population, but they actually under-index. So really, if you're kind of using CTV as a means to reach out to student prospects, we definitely believe here at AUDIENCEX, there's definitely much richer tactics and channel strategies you could take, especially thinking about gaining top of mind or taking a mobile first approach. Parents, again, CTV is a great place to reach them. And of course, through social media and just ads in general online through display and native advertising. Now, again, looking specifically at social media consumption, we also wanted to see how these two audiences compare in terms of social. Big takeaway here. If you are using Facebook to reach prospective high schoolers, you already have a failing strategy. And let me tell you why. Students are not on Facebook. They are on Instagram, but more so just to have an account. Where we see most of their time being spent day to day is with platforms like Snapchat and TikTok. This is completely different to what we see with parents. We definitely find them on Facebook and Instagram, but also with things like Twitter and Pinterest is a great way to reach parents. So if you're going after an undergraduate enrollment campaign, we recommend having two audiences, but splitting and parsing them out and really taking a channel specific approach for each because they couldn't be more different. In addition to just kind of undergraduates, there's a lot of opportunity, as you all are aware of, reaching out to adults looking to continue their education, especially for universities that offer any sort of vocational degree or trade school, and then of course, master pursuers. So right now in the US, there's about a population of 36 million adults who have obtained some sort of certification, but have not yet attained a bachelor's degree. And again, with these bespoke audiences, again, they have very different user behaviors and indexes in terms of interests. One cool thing we found that works really well for finding adults continuing education is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a great place to be for both adults kind of looking to advance their career and then also adults looking to get their master's degree. This requires separate, of course, strategic and content strategies, but we're happy to talk to you guys about that if you want to expand and kind of reach these other niche audiences. Now, looking at audience, I definitely want to relate to our experience in this space and how to create a tactical strategy and kind of a go-to-market strategy for kind of launching a marketing campaign for whether it's undergrad enrollment or higher education or even transfer students. So really our experience, we have a lot based in terms of experience, but also we are the only integrated media buying platform for higher education brands. So really, we have the most seamless access to over 20 plus of enterprise DSPs and kind of social media platforms. And really, our approach is looking at it through a really unbiased lens of really understanding what are the ins and outs of each platform and what could we leverage to use to find and kind of convert these audiences from only learning about a potential degree or master's program to actually signing up and paying that first tuition. Really, how does it work? Again, we start with identifying audiences for a strategic development. Now, universities and colleges are one of the most unique brands in market because you guys have a breadth of first-party data. So what we do with clients is we tend to build this structure where we first identify all the audiences we want to go after, whether it's custom segments or even lookalike audiences from existing data and email lists from first-party CRM data. We also work with data partners like Oracle, Blue Kai, Distillery. This gives us insights to not only students, but also their parents and their purchase behavior, their spend behavior, and again, their interest and kind of in-market behaviors. We use these data partners to kind of develop really who's going to be a high value potential student versus someone who might be more interested in some programs, but actually they're tied to another university. We then kind of use AI and kind of specific tools like Black Crow to really refine these learnings of audience creations to really come up with a full-fledged omni-channel approach. But really, it's looking at audience first, parsing it down to see what first-party data segments universities have. How do we build lookalike audiences off of this? How do we measure and optimize these audiences and push them down to an omni-channel activation? So looking at the full funnel, we might use programmatic and other social means to really kind of tell stories, show student life, show different programs and how they attain to different career outcomes. But we might use search and other tactical formats to actually get them to convert and sign up or apply now. Some insights I wanted to share from our own campaigns is that if you guys use a mix of predictive interest affinity targeting as well as in-market intent with the right channel strategy, you will see a really positive output of high CTRs. And again, we look at things like geography, frequency capping, and at what time of day are these students most interested in interacting with education creatives. Now, I know we have a full background of attendance joining, so I want to pause here and kind of define some of these terms on this slide. So really, predictive audience is the best performing tactic we tend to see in education. Predictive audiences purely comes from first-party data, whether that's an email list you've obtained throughout the year, it could be a potential parent email list, alumni list. All of these insights through email lists are piped into our systems, and our AI and algorithms develop kind of lookalike models and kind of expand these audiences out. So we're able to predict who has a higher intent and maybe signing up to apply now or learn more for your university. The next best kind of, performance tactic we see is broader interest in affinity targeting because it's also the least expensive as compared to in-market or intent. So in-market targeting is really based off of search keywords. So people actively searching for a master's program, people searching actively for nursing programs or nursing degrees. We use a mix of channel selections, but really looking at a whole, some of the top contenders for us is display, high impact, CTV, and native. Of course, social, but this is siloed to programmatic insights. Just want to pause there. But really what we found is the use of high impact mobile ads, especially because students are on their mobile phones. They're constantly going out in between social media platforms to gaming devices. High impact creatives work very effective in terms of getting users to come to the site. And in fact, we saw they have the highest CTR through the breadth of all of our campaigns. We have a ton of insights all the way down to the category level, but something we recommend to you guys is that when you're looking at setting up campaigns, you always want to measure the effectiveness of different interests in different category targeting, as well as along with their cost and CTR. So definitely what might drive a high CTR might not necessarily be effective because that cost of the CPM or that cost of impression is quite high. So what we do at AUDIENCEX through our really robust reporting, we get down to this very granular level and provide this insight back to colleges and universities to really help guide them not only on what categories are performing best, but where they might be able to find nuances in terms of setting up a specific PMP with a potential finance publisher. This also insight helps a lot of universities inform their creatives and also which programs they need to start advertising and pushing out for students. Interestingly, news is a great category for education brands to be on, and we see a lot of the big universities really focusing on local news programs for kind of one-to-one deals. So as a whole, and kind of as a summary really quickly, building a holistic strategy requires, clients to look at various different programmatic DSPs, various different search engines, and also social media platforms. But within these buckets of channels, there's a breadth of channels that we have to play around with to drive users through the full funnel. One thing I think a lot of marketers miss out is all the tools and tactics available within search. So search is not only great for PPC or kind of SEO, but Google has come out with some really interesting products like Performance Max and Google Discovery. So these are search-based ads that run across all of Google's products on YouTube, Gmail, etc. So really, these platforms over time are always constantly innovating, offering new formats, new solutions. And it's really important that you guys as marketers partner with the right teams and the right people that understand the breadth of this omni-channel ecosystem, because this is very hard to do in-house. We also work with a lot of university colleges and their agencies to kind of help build these strategies internally and help with in-housing. So if you have any questions about a specific screen or a specific format, definitely get in touch after the presentation. But the key takeaway here, because of what's happening in this space, we need to activate across all screens everywhere for a full funnel strategy. Now to the fun part. Thanks for sticking with me. I know some of the language could be quite tactical, but we do have some great creative to share. So this is a fun, high impact creative unit we did for Wittenberg University. I put the QR code here on the screen. So if anyone has their mobile device, they could definitely pull it up. I'll let you have a minute to scroll through the ad. There's a lot of creative, fun things we could do specifically for colleges and universities and any type of education brand. One of our favorites is an interactive quiz. So a lot of students, especially undergrads, their first year, a lot of them come into colleges undeclared. They have a really hard time understanding what they want to do when they're older, what careers are going to be a good fit for them. So we created a really fun custom quiz unit that asked about 9 different questions. The user and prospective students got to answer different inputs. And with that data, Wittenberg offered a customized program to help guide them in their kind of signing up process. What was really innovative with Wittenberg, before the actual quiz results, the user, of course, had to sign up and give their kind of email address and contact information. So with this ad unit, Wittenberg collected over like 3,000 CRM data, unique email responses. This is huge for a high impact. We also saw a really high CTR across this unit of 13%. So this was a really effective and fun ad unit. Another one we've done for Tulsa University was really, we wanted to offer and kind of share the different kind of unique selling points of coming to them for their university. So they offer a really great STEM program. They offer really great affordable and accessible kind of housing and also tuition. And then again, they just live in a very vibrant location. So they wanted to use all these things to kind of help educate prospective students on kind of pulling them into their university. It was really fun because we got to take a really mass approach, and really the user got to click through and really spend time on the content that mattered most to them. What was the most beneficial about this high impact unit is that we were able to track each user across each kind of format and content, and we were able to retarget them. So for all the users really interested in the STEM program, we actually pulled that out into a custom audience pool and did a whole separate marketing campaign against those users. Again, this ad unit had very high CTRs and was a very effective campaign. Outside of our own work, we have a really cool tool called Pathmatics. This is a competitor insights tool we have access to. We also give this tool access to our clients. So if our clients ever wanted to work with AUDIENCEX, they have access to keep track of their competitors and what they're doing from a creative point of view, but also where are they spending their marketing budget and how much are they spending each year. So one really fun example I pulled from Full Sail University, which is a private for-profit university in Florida. They specialize in kind of artistic and content courses, especially around gaming, social, etc. And really, they have the best creative in terms of, identifying students that are really into gaming, also students that really want to come on and become coders, but also how to make use of their degree for future careers like sports marketing, etc. They make a lot of great use of their content around YouTube, where their prospective students are, especially around gaming and coding. We also saw a lot of their ads on Twitter, which again is a great audience alignment. So really well done. I don't know if anyone from Full Sail University is on the attendance, but really great job from this advertiser. Another great example of more of a larger public research university is obviously University of Utah. We really love their play of you, kind of in their creative in that language to really recognize students as imagine you at you. So it was really fun play on words. Also, they are diving in to kind of the online offering. So really learn from everywhere. This came up with a little space astronaut, really kind of highlighting the ease of getting an MBA program through their online courses. They had a great mix of video, especially short form video, to run effectively on YouTube. That is more cost effective. But then also they have a huge health program in many hospitals at University of Utah, and they really kind of paired up with sports and really kind of using the Center of Medical for Team USA. So really they kind of did a full marketing approach, thinking of any sort of sponsorship affiliations, really putting the student top of mind, and then really playing fun words in their creative. What was interesting, though, where they deployed these creatives was a very localized approach. So they actually spent more money with KSL.com, which is a local news program in Utah, than they did on Facebook and YouTube. So it's really taking a catered approach for each university and college and understanding, do I want to be local or do I want to be national? But this is a really great example of University of Utah and kind of how they think about not only creative, but how they are deploying these creatives as well. So in summary, I just wanted to share kind of the audience insights, and market trends. So the 5 key takeaways for anyone here watching this webinar is to really position your brand within the current political and economical landscape. We have yet to see the effects of COVID and what it's going to be for the kind of coronials born today and then 18 years from now. Also, COVID, which is something that universities must think about, has massively shifted the job market. So now people are working from home more than ever. People are becoming digital nomads, and we need to match this kind of trends in the job market with the curriculum universities are offering, or at least in the creative messaging to pull students in, because we are going to see more and more students kind of take up, after graduating high school, take up more the gig economy than going to a 4-year college university. So now is so important to kind of keep what's happening in the job sector top of mind for the incoming students. Also, thinking of audience insights, the number 1 takeaway is to really look at platform and creative strategies with the relevant audiences on mind. Again, you're not going to find 16-year-olds on Facebook, so you should completely remove that from your marketing strategy. I would also cautious about, looking at CTV to reach students 16 years old plus. But again, there are specific channels that works well for them, gaming, publishers like Twitch, etc., Discord, etc. There are some great nuances you could find. Also, you guys have the most use case of first-party data, and universities need to make use of these CRM lists to really make use of lookalikes and really getting high-valued potential students converting on and signing up and paying tuition immediately. Also, taking a whole omni-channel approach is really important. So when we think of activation for university, it isn't siloed just to search and social, but also how does high impact mobile really reach out to a potential students about different programs? And then how do they go to Facebook at night about signing up to learn more, to speak to a counselor? Each channel offers a different user journey and a different action from the user. So as a marketer, you need to be planning with this in mind. And then finally, none of this is going to be powerful or worth it without analytics and measurement. So throughout the campaign, you want to be measuring the impact of splitting out audiences, splitting out creative, doing A/B tests. Really, how is my CTV or programmatic high impact rich media affecting my Facebook activity? So really setting up really robust measurement is going to be really useful and drive audience insights for kind of future enrollment classes. I think we're going to pause there, take some questions before diving into some case studies. But thank you all for sticking with me. I know we had a lot to uncover.
Yeah, thanks, Danny. So we got some questions, great questions from the audience. If you do have more, feel free to continue sending those over. So Danny, we'll go through the questions here, and if there's time to dive into the case studies.
Right.
So the first question is, what was the name of the creative platform for searching ads?
For searching ads. Yes.
Yeah, so what was the name of that creative platform for searching ads?
Yeah, so it's called Pathmatics. So this is a great tool, not only for looking at different creatives, but also the spend and where these clients and kind of universities are spending. Is it on YouTube, desktop, display, or mobile? Pathmatics, I believe the spelling is P-A-T-H, Matics, M-A-T-I-C-S. Of course, we could send that as a follow-up. And again, working with AUDIENCEX, because it is a paid for tool, you get free access by being one of our clients.
Great, thanks, Danny. Next question. What are the reasons for the declining parental support of college?
Great question. So it's a snowball effect of things. First of all, the rising cost of tuition, correct? So more and more students are declining to go to a four-year college, putting a lot of pressure on the actual cost of maintaining every new enrollment. So now more than ever, it's been the most expensive it's ever been. That paired to the actual undergrad or the unemployment rate for undergraduates too is really crippling parents' confidence in terms of the return on investment of sending their child to a four-year university to have them have a really successful career outcome. A lot of parents we've heard are actually pushing their children to start their own business, even go into things like the military, et cetera, or even a two-year university instead of that four-year college. So it's a lot of things kind of changing that are snowballing up to a greater effect. Great question.
Great, thanks, Danny. Next question. How can schools share their first-party data for ad targeting without violating FERPA laws? That's the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. It's a federal law that protects the privacy of student education records.
Great question. So email lists are still safe PII data we could use for all of our campaigns. In order to share with us, Google actually allows you to upload CRM lists from email right away into their platform. So it's very seamless. If you were to share with a third party, usually marketers go either two routes. They either send it in the form of hashed data, as long as there's privacy compliance in place with your partner, so you could actually share it by means of a file share, as long as the data comes in hash and it doesn't look like an email. And then a lot of marketers today are using kind of DMP, data management partners, a partner like a LiveRamp, to kind of upload their CRM list. And then LiveRamp, what they do on the back end is they convert these email lists into cookie IDs, which partners like AUDIENCEX could take right away. And in fact, they get automatically pushed to our DSPs. But great question. Email lists are still safe to use, but any other kind of unique PII data like name, address, telephone number, you cannot use for education. The email list is definitely okay. And then also, there's a lot of first-party data that comes from your web analytics. So any advertiser with a big site that is using GA or GA's full suite, which is the paid for upgrade, I think it's GA4, we could take that actual cookie data of users coming onto their site, and we could track where they're clicking through, whether it's apply now or learn more or get in touch with a counselor. All of that is pixeled and translated into cookies that could be piped into specific partner DSPs. Lots of ways to share data that are compliant and safe. I think it totally depends on your partner and who you use, and kind of understanding just what pipes connect, et cetera, and what data you have. Is it in the form of that website pixels, or is it actual email lists in a HubSpot or Salesforce? But great question.
Thanks, Danny. Next question. How do you help education clients track true conversions when pixels might not be allowed past their domain URL?
That's a good question and very tricky. To be honest, there really isn't a solve for it. The one workaround, again, if you are housing all activity within Google, so Google will use a master floodlight to track all your website activity. That could be pushed to our DV360 account, also owned by Google, in the back end without using pixels, but you're siloed to only using Google's products. Again, that's not a problem because they are first in class in terms of DSPs and media buying platforms. But with Google, you obviously couldn't do that to track Facebook conversions, et cetera, and any sort of social media activity. But we've actually worked with government clients that have the same problem. We cannot pixel any form of governmental sites, but they share data through their floodlights that push and sync together when we connect our DSP with their Google accounts. So it is possible, it is tricky, but if you're not using Google, that's where it becomes kind of impossible. But we are looking at ways to solve for that through other means of tracking, other metrics like time spent on site that is shared through us, through clients sharing back their data and reporting. And then we also look at click-through conversion rates, et cetera.
Great. Next question. Does all of this research apply to two-year colleges as well? Have you run campaigns for two-year colleges?
Absolutely. We work with a lot of community colleges and kind of two-year programs, especially vocational schools. This absolutely applies. And in fact, it's the two-year colleges and it's the more middle tier universities that are going to feel the hurt of what's happening in the space right now with the demographic downturn more than the big universities. Of course, the top 50, 100 universities are still going to be okay, and they're going to still have a high demand of student enrollment. It's really focusing on these two-year colleges and kind of the middle tier of four-year universities. But absolutely, and I believe we have some bespoke insights for two-year colleges we could share with you.
Thanks, Annie. Next question. What is the best tool for creating high impact ads? Are they in HTML5 format?
Yeah, definitely. In terms of kind of inventory availability, definitely JavaScript probably has the most availability. So that is the HTML kind of creative units. Some clients give us MRAID creatives, but actually the inventory available online for MRAID creatives is a lot lower than the HTML5 creatives. Really good question. Yeah, very specific, but love that. Great question.
Yeah, and this was posted also on chat as, our creative team uses Celtra for creating those high impact ads.
Awesome. Yeah, Celtra is a great platform. It's one we use as well. Celtra is probably the most in-depth in terms of the different options you could build, but we're seeing a lot of cool formats. And then not only on just high impact in general, but even these social platforms in the form of stories. There's a lot of cool native new formats out there like Instant Article. We have a ton of unique partnerships that we built in the last 12 years that go beyond the traditional Celtra formats. So definitely get in touch with us. A new hot buzzword right now is in-banner videos through a partner called Sing This. Check them out. They're phenomenal. What they do is they take video assets and they live stream it into display units. So you're actually paying for programmatic video at the cost of display CPMs. Like their technology is phenomenal and the CPAs dramatically decrease when we implement this into our campaigns. I mean, we have a ton of tricks and tips like this, but definitely get in touch with us because it's very bespoke to each client. But yeah, love Rich Media.
Yeah, someone's just signed on chat, like who's the partner again? So that is Seen This.
Seen This. So yeah. SEEN capital THIS. So they're a great partner of ours. They're mostly an ad server, so they'll help create the mock kind of like a Celtra, but you'll still need to work with a partner like AUDIENCEX to kind of deploy that creative unit.
Great. So one more question that I see on the list, and then we do have some time to go over the, one or two of the case studies before we close out the session. Last question here is, what are some potential channels that work well to reach adults continuing education, but don't work well to reach parents and high school students?
Yes, correct. Great question. So going back to that slide, what we found that parents of prospects, they skew slightly female. We see a lot of these female kind of mothers, especially, they kind of stay at home. They're not necessarily in the workforce. So they're not necessarily on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a great social channel, especially to reach people already in the job market but they need some more career advancement through the use of certification or courses. So you're not necessarily going to find all parents on LinkedIn, but you will find master pursuers and definitely adults continuing their education. Alternatively, Pinterest is a great place to reach parents. I'm a parent myself. I'm always on Pinterest looking for party inspiration, looking for barbecue inspiration. Pinterest is a great social platform to reach parents, especially as we showed earlier, their interest is so skewed towards things like grilling, gardening, barbecuing, home improvement. Pinterest is the place where these parents are going for inspiration. Maybe not so much adults continuing education. We think contextually it fits better for like a LinkedIn, but really good question. Awesome. Well, with that, I just want to leave everyone on the attendees with one note before we kind of shine and share one case study. But I recall when my sister was going to university, something that really stuck with her. And I think this is the kind of baseline of why we need to use marketing to inspire students again. You know, I told my sister, who is kind of debating whether she goes straight into the job market or if she goes straight to kind of a four-year college. And I told her this. I told her, you know, a lot of things in life could be taken away from you. You could lose your house. You could lose your job. Unfortunately, you may lose a loved one, or you may lose some, you know, actual property that you own in terms of a car. But the one thing that you can never lose is your college education. Once you get your education, that is yours, and no one could ever take that away from you. So I think with this inspiration, we need to go back to telling these inspirational stories and getting these students not only to come for career attainment, but there's so many other benefits of going to college. You know, again, that education background, but the community you built. So some of the successors in this space right now are using more of that storytelling and inspiration to guide and kind of change the sentiment happening within the US. So I'm going to leave you with that little tidbit. And then now for fun part, our case study with Winoa University. So thank you all for attending. I know we're close to time if anyone needs to drop off, but for those of you staying, we have a really interesting case study from one of our great clients, Winoa State University. So really, we were working with them to drive applications across undergraduate, transfer, and adult continuing education, but they had a very limited budget, which is fine. Again, I think marketers in this space think they have to pay to play, but that is not the case at all. So we worked with this state university. We were really restricted with the budget, so we couldn't have a full omni-channel approach. But what we did instead is we worked together with them to identify some of their big on-campus events, and we made the use of location and of geofencing to really kind of retarget any of these students or prospective students coming to their events and kind of retargeting throughout the internet, etc. Because the audience pools were so low, we were able to run mostly display and video across multiple channels and sites. But what they did is they hosted multiple events throughout the year. We would set up a geofence through our partner Foursquare. We would collect all the devices of people in the community coming to these events. And then throughout the year, we would retarget them with a really powerful creative. So really, this led, surprisingly, to an 8% increase in applications for the entire school year. Because again, we were speaking to really relevant audiences through their on-campus events. So it was omni-channel in the sense that we use display, video, and multiple channels, but really location could be a really cool undermining tactic to leverage, especially for those clients in smaller universities that don't have a lot of budget. I have a lot of more to go through, but we're going to send this in a follow-up. Definitely read through the case studies. I think we have 7 more to share. But lastly, I missed this as part of our questions. We wanted to invite all attendees to kind of our LinkedIn group page. It's our marketer collection page on LinkedIn. We're going to share the group in the chat. Definitely join this group because I'll be posting more insights the rest of today about just stuff happening in the space, in the industry. And again, this is a great place for future one sheets on different ad formats and channels. But thank you all for joining. It was so nice to have you all attend. Thank you for listening to me speak for an hour. And we hope to see you for another higher education webinar come fall.
Thank you, Danny, for participating, and thank you everyone for attending today's session. We will be sending a recording of this webinar to all registrants afterwards, so you can keep a lookout for that soon. Once again, if you have any questions, feel free to connect with us on social media. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.